And that will be the siren. And that will be history in the Harold Matthews Cup. The Warriors have won it. They have come over here and won it.
Ladies and gentlemen, your UNE Harold Matthews Cup champions for 2024, the New Zealand Warriors.
What about that entrance? Welcome back, whānau. Ephraim, Dills, Willie, sitting on the couch. What about that result?
Outstanding for the young men and for the club itself. But I think it's a real big shot in the arm for the game and the junior system and what we've got here in New Zealand coming through. And yeah, what a way to celebrate that. Come into the comp, new team, brand new to the competition, first team in years to make the final, but then to go on and win it. The future's very, very bright for the club.
Man, what an outstanding result. We just finished our New South Wales Cup game. I was in the change rooms, we were watching the first start. In that first 10 minutes, I thought, maybe a little bit shell-shocked. It's a big occasion, first year being in. We're there at Combank Stadium, but then they started really well after that first 10 minutes, started just flooding through the middle, some bloody fast, explosive talent in there. I thought it was a great game from them. And yes, the pathways are looking bright. Do we lose half of those players to Australia, though, now that we've made a bit of a statement? That's what I'm worried about, that these kids, now that they've given this opportunity to play in the competition, that every other club's seeing them. So I'm like, I'm a little bit scared.
I think they're pretty safe with this lot, the bottom tier of the junior system. So they've got a few more tiers to get up there. And with the Warriors now having Harold Matt's SG Ball's jersey flag into reserve grade, I'm sure they'll tie these boys down. And because of the success, they'll want to stay together.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll have a bond now forever. That group, and this is what happens when you're successful in a group. You want to stay together as long as you can. They'll try and get through that system, and who knows how many of that side will go through to play in the NRL.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. After like a successful year and building those connections and those relationships with each other, they may want to go on to that next stage, SG Ball, stay close together, try and win that. And then hopefully these guys all want to play for the Warriors. So that's our fingers crossed that we can keep a lot of those kids here. Yes, we're not going to be able to keep them all, but what a fantastic result, not only for the Harold Matts team, but the club, the coaches, everyone involved in what they created for the last 12, 13 weeks, or that's just the competition, but in the pre-season and what they've learned. A great result, awesome, can't wait to see those
congrats to everyone. Congrats to the players, the coaches, for their time and for the club putting everything together.
Shout out to the Warriors. We'll get on to the main team later on, but there was also another final for the under-17 girls, the Lisa Fiaola Cup, which the Bulldogs took out against the Tigers. Sorry.
You're right there.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Get it out before we start the show, my bro. Far out.
Too much wheat bix for breakfast.
The most.
But I just wanted to highlight a player, the 5'8" for the Bulldogs, Evelyn Roberts. She's a Macaulay Girls product, so true blue Kiwi. I just wanted to shout her out because my cousin knows her. She went to Macaulay.
Getting your little 5 cents in there. Nice.
But yeah, Willie, you were saying before the show that the Bulldogs have recruited a lot of girls out of New Zealand.
Well, they've had a presence here for a little while now, and trying to recruit some of the juniors. They've had some coaching clinics, and they've got a lot of boys and girls on their scholarship system. So, yeah, a lot of them are starting to take some of the girls over, put them through, and this is a byproduct of that. Those girls are getting their chances and proving their recruitment is worth it. You know, the investment that the Dogs are trying to make. The challenge now is for the Warriors with their women's team coming in. They've got to try and attract them to come back or try and stop them from going over now. And the recruitment process for the women's side of it for the Warriors goes into full gear now.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a great opportunity for those local girls to go over and experience that, but get coached by really good coaches, play in a really good system and a good competition. And then when the opportunity comes, like you said, for the Warriors, is to make sure that they identify these girls as long-term futures for not only the Warriors but New Zealand as well. So yeah, a great result for the Bulldogs and their pathways. Like you said, yes, most clubs are in our backyard now, so we're competing against every single NRL club when it comes to trying to retain talent here, both men and women. And this is a big part of what the Bulldogs have been doing. Again, the Harold Matts team, they won every single game, and the Harold Matts Warriors team managed to knock them off the top of the table and get through to the final. So obviously doing really good things in their pathways. This is, I guess, a stepping stone for the Warriors as well. We've started our pathways. That's where we want to get to, keep recruiting. Be nice to see a pathways for our girls as well, leading into our NRLW season for sure.
Straight up. And then up the coast, up to Queensland, another Youth Cup game, the Meninga Cup. There was a game that went around on socials a bit.
Wow.
The Burleigh Bears against the Wide Bay Bulls. The Bears beat them 130-0, which was an average of a try every 3 minutes. And the Broncos have signed up this young halfback that was playing in that game called Kobe Black. He scored 46 points, 2 tries and 19 conversions. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but...
No, I didn't get to watch it, but geez, what a scoreline. Is it like a record or nah?
I think it's the 3rd biggest score ever.
Jeez, I wonder what the
in
first
that
score was.
definitely. A team reached 140 in like the 90s.
Okay. So that's an under 18s competition over
under 18s,
in Queensland, which, man, what a crazy score that was. But again, a lot of that talent's in the Broncos' backyard, the Dolphins' backyard, Titans, all those things, and for the Broncos to keep identifying talent and being able to secure those guys, especially those young guys coming through with their pathways. They've already got really quality players through their club, but I guess you earmark them at a young age and then you have them for the future and you keep building. This is what they can do. So being able to score tries and all those in those conversions, you always need a good kicker. Most probably all underneath the post, to be honest. Just a quick question. Did everyone score a try? Because
you know what, I'm gonna have a
you know
look.
what I mean, like nudie runs. I don't know if they still do those nudie runs. I don't know if they Willie. I don't know what Willie's laughing at. I don't know why they're still doing nudie runs. But I had a couple of my times. But surely every single person scored a try because man, they would be fingers crossed. They would have been asking, pass me the ball, Willie.
Don't give it to him. Don't give it to Johnny. Whatever you do, don't give it to Johnny.
So, what a result. But again, feel sorry for the White Bay team.
Yeah, and that's a bit of me is you feel sorry for a team that all they're doing is kicking off, walking back and standing behind the post again every 3 minutes, conceding a try. It must be demoralising. It'll be hard for them going back to training. And well, as a coach, I coached the game where we lost 90-0.
Sorry?
Yeah, we played a reserve grade side at Warrington one day, and they had 3 internationals playing in their reserve grade side for Warrington. And we had a couple of 16-year-old rugby union kids, and we were just blooding kids through, and 54-0 at half time. And I'm thinking, what do I say?
Yeah.
What's my halftime team talk? And just tried to put a positive spin on it. And I'm sure the Wide Bay coach is trying to do that as much as he can. But be interesting to see. You talk about Cody Black being signed by the Broncos. How many of his team are already affiliated and signed up with other clubs, and how many in the Wide Bay team are as well? But yeah, tough one. Hope Wide Bay can bounce back from this.
I was going to ask you that, Willie, from a coaching point of view, is are you starting to think, hang on, we're going to go for a short kick-off here, try and start do something different, or you just stay positive, like you said, just put a bit of a positive spin on it, or do we just try and change up tactics, short kick-offs, try and do something sneaky? I don't know.
Yeah, you try and change things. You try and do what's best for the side. And, you can see, and I could see in that game, how demoralised the players were becoming, and you sympathise and you hurt for them, and you sort of hope that the opposition go a bit easier, but you understand that that's not the case. But yeah, you try and change things. Might try one short kickoff. No, don't try it again, please. Don't try that again.
Oh man.
So,
but it would have been tough for the coach. I don't know. I've never played in them, but surely like someone had to come out of line and try and change the game again. They're obviously a really quality team, the Bears, and got some quality players. Like Willie said, Bears, be good to know if most of those kids are signed up to, like, obviously Burleigh's a big part of the Titans. So most of those guys are most probably already signed to a club or affiliated with some club anyway. But yeah, huge result. Unfortunate for the opposition, that's for sure.
To answer your question from before, 12 of the 17 scored tries. So five of them still could be on for that nudie run.
Yeah, unlucky, eh?
Moving on now to Dale Finucane has retired. Sad day for the NRL because he's a legend, but he has received medical advice around his repeated head knocks, and has decided to retire. What do you guys think about his career?
Yeah, well, I think that's mostly the only way he was going to retire is for medical advice to tell him that he can't keep going. Being a warhorse through the NRL and tough as the way he plays through his, obviously at the Bulldogs, then the Sharks, then the Storm, and what he's done for all three clubs. I think he's been a great player. Played the game, obviously New South Wales as well. So he's been a tough player, and for someone that mostly puts his body on the line every single game. Not the way he wanted to finish, but again, when you think about your future, I guess family, kids, then that's what happens. Well, I've got someone in the background putting his hand up. You got a question over there?
I'm actually just pointing out to Tui, just trying to get him to adjust something for me. Bro, just throwing me under the bus.
Sorry, my bro. So I just think, it was a sad day for rugby league, and I know that everyone over in Australia were pumping him up about, what he's done in his career and how important he's been to a lot of the teams that he's played for, and also the people that he's played with. So, sad day for him and his family, but then most probably something that he took really serious when he got the advice about making sure that, his life after football is going to be precious.
As a player, you want to go out on your terms. You want to finish on your say-so. You want to know that you're playing your last game, that this is the last time you prepare. And unfortunately, some players don't get to do that, and that's been the case. And when it's a champion player and such a warrior of our game like Dale Finucane, it's a shame that it's happened, but it's not a shock in a way because of the way he played.
Yeah.
He threw his body around, and I think the biggest mark of respect to him that I read about and I heard last week was he's Craig Bellamy's favourite player that he's coached, and he's coached some champions
I actually thought
over the years.
Ryan Hinchcliffe was his favourite player, but it's obviously Dale Finucane.
Well, that's what I heard. Just for how he played and what he brought down from Canterbury when he came in, became a leader straight away. Through actions, wasn't a big speaker, but through actions, he became the leader. And as Blair said, he played every game at 100%, represented his state, did the same for them, went to Cronulla, got the leadership, got the armband as the captain, but unfortunately hasn't been able to play that much this year. But he goes away from the game now, and hopefully with his faculties intact and his health is the priority. And as a father of a young family, he's got to think about that, and he's doing that. So all the best to him for what he goes on to do next, because he's definitely left a positive imprint on the game.
Yeah, big props to him. I think he's joining the media. I think he's joining one of Fox's TV shows over there. So good luck to him on the cameras.
Might be on the podcast with Matty Johns.
Bring him
He's a bit of
over.
a musician too, eh?
Yes, can sing.
musician.
He
He got a
plays
bit of a
guitar.
husky voice.
Yeah,
He's
country
not
music.
bad. He's
Bit
not
of
bad.
Elvis,
I think
bit
he's
of
played at the Deli M's or the big awards.
I remember him playing on the footy show.
Yeah.
What, like on the stage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's really good. Do your research and you'll have a look. Do your research and you'll know. Hey, nice Willie, got him there. He reckons he does all his research, but hey, we caught him out there. Yeah, Dale Finucane, he's got a bit of a voice, just so you know, for next time, Ephraim.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks.
Nice.
Next thing up is a guy in a different point of his career. Schuster has now been officially released from Manly. The Sea Eagles are reported to be paying an $1 million payout. And I saw a thing that it's split into over 4 years, so $250K a year to Schuster, and he's released from his contract. He's a free agent essentially now. So that saga's over. What's next for Schuster?
Yeah, I think it's, I guess it's a win-win for both parties. And I think it's a great opportunity for him to, I guess, sit down and reflect on where he wants to go, because he's got the times on his side now. He's got some money there for the next 4 years. So I think this year is important for him to go away and think about where he wants to go with his rugby league career and if he really wants to pursue the rugby league career. So this gives him a bit of a safe barrier that he doesn't have to stress about anything else outside of rugby league or just life after rugby league, but he needs to make sure that he wants to know, he can reflect and see where he wants to go, because the world's his oyster if he wants to work for it in rugby league, and if that's what he wants to do, I'm sure he'll think about that and try and put some things aside and put some things in place that he can be better with. So yeah, I just think it's a win-win for both parties. You know, it'd be a waste to see him just fade away and not keep pursuing his career in rugby league, because he's got all the talent in the world, and we've seen that on the big stage and the things that he can do. It's up to him now. The ball's in his court, and he needs to just realise that what he wants to do in life, whether it be rugby league or just be out there in the real world. Because I'll tell you what, you know, now being retired, it's quite hard out there, and it's tough. It's tough as a former player, so it is tough. So realising those opportunities and being grateful for what you do have while you're playing, you know, it's a big bad world.
Yeah, and he's a freakily talented player that needs to be playing. We need him in the game. So, but firstly, as Blair said, he's got to decide what he wants to do. He's got to work that out in his head. But the separation needed to happen. There needed to be a cut-off point with him and Manly, and they've done that now. And again, it is a win-win situation. He gets to go away, but what he also gets to do is he gets to understand a little bit what Blair is saying about retirement, being away from the game for a little bit, but also having a little bit of comfort of having that financial safety.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's not without that payment. He's got it coming in, which he's got to be careful of. But yeah, he's got to work out whether he wants to play or go down a different path now. And I think he needs to play. That's my thing for him. My bit of advice, if he's listening and taking it, get back on the field, get your boots on, because you're still young, and he's still capable of offering the game loads. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think Melbourne's a real good fit for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. What position we talked about a couple of weeks ago? Edge, back rower for
definitely a back rower. Got the skills to play ball play as a back rower as well. Can kick, can pass. So a great opportunity to go there. I think Melbourne's the go. Hopefully Craig Bellamy's listening to us too, Willie, and he picks him up and takes him down there and kicks his bum into gear, and he comes out a better player, better person for it, that's for sure.
And if he does become a good player, just a small finder's fee will be.
Thank you.
Speaking of kicking bums into gear in a way, Jackson Topine has... have you guys heard of the saga that's started happening between him and the Bulldogs? So reportedly he's filed a $4 million lawsuit against the Bulldogs for unlawful corporal punishment. He was allegedly made to wrestle more than 30 of his teammates one by one as a punishment for being 8 to 10 minutes late to training. He claims to have suffered psychiatric injury and humiliation, and he has not played in the NRL since this happened in July last year.
Yep.
What's going on there?
Yeah, this is a tough one, I reckon. In today's world, you most probably can't do this. And I guess this is the first time that someone's come out and said something about the situation himself. But then it was public last week and through the NRL, and reportedly that this is what happened. Back in the day, when we were mucking around, hey, this was just normal.
Yeah.
You know, this was just normal. You just got on with it. This was a big part of, you know, I guess the mental side of the game. But again, that was a long time ago. It's now 2024. It's not 2004 or 3 when I went over to Australia when I was a young kid. So, you know, I just think, you know, I'm going to put myself in the situation, and I don't know what he's like as a person. I know he represented the Māori All-Stars in a year there. I never got to meet him. So, you know, you're resting 35 players. Humiliation is must be the first thing I think of when I'm standing there. I'm late already. I'm already embarrassed turning up late. And then you have to stand in front of your teammates and try and wrestle everyone. My first thing is I'm choking the first person out, bro.
Yeah, and that's how it was in our day. That's how it was. You've got to go for it. And we did those sessions. Was it not just being punishment? That was the session. You had to do those things. And you did them because it conditioned you for what was coming in the game. The game was tough. And it's even tougher now. It's even more physical today. So when you're in the trenches, You need to be able to trust the bloke next to you when the game gets tough. And the only way that coaches and conditioners can find that out without putting them in game situation is to put them under stress in training. You know, whether you're late or not, and being 10 minutes late, that's punishable. You've got to understand that. I sit on the side of the Bulldogs on this, mostly, because you've got to put the guys in that position. As I said, I'll come back to it, it's a tough, tough game. And everything that he's suing for, psychiatric injury and humiliation, there's stuff that happened in the game. And those things are even more so when you're not ready for it, when you're underprepared. So the conditioner's trying to prepare him for it. One, don't be late again. But two, when you get out on the field with the other 29 blokes, they're going to trust you. They're going to know that you've got their back. And they're going to cover for you when the times get hard. It is a tough one. It's a really tough one. But there's an element where they're trying to prepare him. And there is a bit of a Neanderthal approach, if you like. It is a bit old school. But there's still an element where it's needed. It's still required today because the athletes today are far better than the athletes of my day. Yeah. Loads fitter, loads faster, loads stronger. And they've got to be able to handle that mental side of it when they get on the field.
Yeah, my concerns are more around the mental health stuff. It's massive now in the game of rugby league or just in life in general. A lot of people are struggling with mental health, and I think this is most probably where I come in and support Jackson around his mental health, because I think it's important that as a game they look after him. The RLPA are there to support the players, and I feel like, you know, that's where I feel like as a person I've seen people struggle with mental health. I've known people to take their lives through mental health and through the tough times. So for me, that's where I step in and go, hey, is anyone checking on this kid? Has the RLPA reached out? Has anyone from the NRL, has the Bulldogs done the same? Or have they just let him go and just hope for the best? Because you don't want to see something happen to this kid because of all what's happened. Yes, it's a bit of tough punishment, but at the same time, and yes, this is what normally happens and this is where they got to go to and for trust in your teammates, but at the same time, mental health is a big issue these days, and this is where I think someone needs to most probably reach out to the kid and just help him along those lines.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one comes along in the coming weeks. Hopefully no ill will to any parties, just it's one of those situations that happens. Moving on to a couple signings that have happened this past week. A shocking one, Sunia Turuva has signed on from next year for a 3-year contract with the Tigers to join Jerome Luai and Api over there. He missed the game. Ivan Cleary said after the game it was because of the toll that the contract negotiations had taken on him. What a shock, eh? Sunia gone from the Panthers.
He's the last 2 years come out of nowhere and been one of Penrith's good wingers with obviously Brian To'o and what he does. But man, he has fitted into that club like a glove, and everything he does with is intense. He runs, he brings the ball back, he's tough under high ball, he goes after it. So I didn't see this coming. The big news was Dragons trying to take him as a fullback because he's played fullback back in the day. But then the Tigers come out of it and snare a great winger. I think, the Tigers do have already some great players in their team, young guys coming through as well, and some young wingers as well. But to get someone of his calibre, great, Jerome Luai as well, having those guys together, their connection that they've had together, which is nice. So the Tigers are the big winners here. But what a great signing. Yes, there would have been a lot of pressure behind Cleary's decision to leave him out. Elamuti is a good player as well. He's come in there and done a good job. But, pressure, the stress of signing a contract and going through all those negotiations, maybe just leaving him out for a week was most probably the right decision. Yeah,
double shock on the back of James Fisher-Harris leaving. They would have had some cap space, you'd think, to be able to give him a little bit more, but maybe he has, and I go back to the World Cup when I saw him play for Fiji at fullback. He was outstanding when they played there, and he may have some aspirations to do that, as Blair is alluding to with St. George. He's not going to play there while Dylan Walker's there. Dylan Edwards is back there. So he probably, whether he goes to the Tigers and they've said they'll move Jerome Buller, I can't see that happening either. But
he's a great player.
He's a gun. He's a gun. But yeah, he's big money, and I totally understand what Ivan Cleary's saying because, especially in that group, if you're part of that group as he is, he was the young fella that's followed on with Brian To'o, and what I've read is he drives to training every day with him, and they're like his bigger brothers. And he would have found it hard to tell them and get it off his chest that he's taken the offer. So that would have taken a toll on him. And if he wasn't emotionally ready to play, then Ivan Cleary's done the right thing by giving them the rest because he said after the game that he will be back next week.
Yeah.
So I can't see it being anything else other than just looking after his mental mindset.
Yes, man, I was super shocked by that. But at least he's moving over with one of the brothers, Jerome. So that's good for him. And then the other, speaking of Ivan Cleary, the name Cleary.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're super excited for this, Adam.
Nice.
Jett Cleary has signed a multi-year deal with the Warriors starting next year. The Sean Johnson replacement, you could say. An interesting stat. He was born in 2005, right before Ivan started coaching at the Warriors in 2006. So I guess it was meant to be,
Kiwi passport? He's got a Kiwi passport, surely.
Surely. Must have been
another fantastic signing that the Warriors. I feel like maybe the Panthers and the Warriors have got a little bit of a quiet side deal going on here, and they've picked up obviously James and done that quite smoothly, and then again another nice little smooth quiet move. Jett Cleary's on the move over to New Zealand, which is great. I guess a great replacement. I haven't seen him yet play at that level. Similar player to his brother. Is he going to get to those heights? Don't know. But yes, the bloodlines are really good, and they're both, they're tough. I've seen some of his highlights. Plays exactly like Nathan, but haven't seen him at those heights yet. So for now, it's great to be able to have someone of his caliber coming over. Yes, still a long way to go. 3 years. What can we do with him in 3 years? Hopefully get him to the heights of his brother and hopefully do really well for the Warriors. Again, a replacement for Sean if Sean's not around, but also a player that I can just learn a little bit off Sean and take that into his game as well.
A big thing in New Zealand has been the lack of depth at that position and the halfback stocks.
Yeah.
So if we've got another one coming through, it's a bit of a succession plan for the Warriors. And some questions and some stories going around that Cameron George has given the decision to Andrew Webster to see whether Sean wants to go again. And I think he needs to. I think Sean needs to be around because there's nobody else coming through, but he's also playing well. And I think when he's ready to go, they're getting ready to bring someone like Jett Cleary through. He's given them that 3-year deal, 3 years to find his feet, get away from the pressure of playing under his superstar brother.
And dad.
And the pressures that come with that, and being associated just by name, and get away. Come here. He has an association here. I'm sure they've still got family, friends here, and be comfortable playing in an environment where he's going to learn his trade, to become the leader as a halfback and become his own man. Don't become Nathan's little brother. Become Jett Cleary 1.0.
Do you think Ivan Cleary, we're talking about all the Clearys. You think Ivan Cleary and Andrew Webster, there's a big trust thing there around allowing his son to come back because he knows that Andrew Webster can give him all the detail. Quite similar systems, I think, as the style that they play, been in that system for a while, knows what grand finals look like, how to win grand finals, and then allowing his son to come in here because Andrew Webster Ivan Cleary is comfortable with Andrew Webster.
Yeah, well, Andrew Webster came from the Penrith system. He was working under him, so they'll know each other very well.
Yep.
So he'll know him definitely well enough to trust him with his son's welfare, well-being, and his career in his hands. He'll know what sort of coaching he's going to get, what environment he's coming into. As you said, very similar to what Penrith have in place. And he knows what New Zealand's like. He knows New Zealand inside and out, and I still believe he comes here for holidays. So he'll know that his son will be safe and well here and also build a nice little career for himself.
Yeah, nice.
Plus, not to mention, Uncle Fish is coming with him, so I'm sure he'll be safe.
Hey, that's his bodyguard, old Fish. Hey, Ivan, said to Fish, make sure you look after my
Him
son.
and Blair, we were taking him up to Hokianga.
Yeah, we'll take him up. We'll take him up to Hokianga, take him fishing, hunting, whatever he needs. But we got him.
He's going to become a Cherkazi in no
Yeah,
time,
my
man.
bro.
So that was some good news for the Warriors, but there was also some bad news for the Warriors in the weekend when they lost to the worst ranked team in the NRL, the Titans. I said a couple weeks, the Titans were looking good, and they were looking really good in this game, and it got them the win.
Yeah, and I think we all said that they were building something the last couple of weeks. Unlucky to not win their game against Canberra. I think there was a penalty opportunity there they could have got because the guy was offside on the charge down. Could have won that game. Also, the Seagulls, they had opportunities again to win that game as well. We all know how good the Seagulls are. Turned up with a point to prove, building some confidence on the back of their last two performances coming into New Zealand. To knock off the Warriors is a massive achievement with how much, I guess, the fans are turning up on Anzac Day. And the Warriors had some improvement to work towards. But I still feel like they've got some more work. Consistently, I felt like they were building something. Then they lose a game, and then to the Dragons, and then they come up against it with a lot to prove. Just didn't get there. And I just don't think they're playing well enough collectively as a group. But I also think the teams that are coming over. I think I've watched the Titans. I've watched the Manly game against them. And I'm just looking at where their fullbacks are sitting in the line now because the Warriors are doing a big shift play and their wingers are nice and deep and everyone's trying to do this kind of swing-shaped style. The fullbacks are knowing that they're doing this and they're looking after the middle area first because they know that's where Wade Egan likes to attack and build momentum through their middle forwards. So they're not really worrying about the kicks because they're so deep that they get, we'll be able to cover that. So they're tightening up the middle of the park with their fullbacks in the line and just hoping that the Warriors will play their shape, which they are. They're sticking to their shape at the minute. They haven't changed anything. So I think for me, and I'm not the coach, but I think, maybe putting an early kick over just to let them know, hey, if you're going to come up like that or you're going to stay in the line, we're just going to chip over the top and then just change their mindset and then go back into their shape. But a lot of thinking for the coach, a lot of work-ons for the team, but they're definitely, the last two teams that they played have definitely tightened up the middle of the park where the Warriors' strengths are.
Yeah, firstly, congratulations to the club and the NRL for how they remembered Anzac Day and for what they did in the lead up to the game. It was a big evening, big afternoon for both Australians and New Zealanders, and they did it well. They did the commemorations really, really well with the soldiers and the services. But on the field, a bit like last week against St George, they got out to a really good start but just couldn't hold on to it. And I agree, a lot of teams are starting to read their play a little bit where they go second man off a middle out the back. And with that, what Blair is saying is if that fullback can hold tight and keep the middles tight, but they still get that pressure, and whether it's Fanua Blake or Tohu that's got the ball, they're forcing them to play early, which just makes them even play deeper, and they can just fan out and defend the play. And they're just getting the numbers there, and they're not getting as many gaps as they were last year. But I'll go back to what I said last week. I just saw a bit of fatigue last week. A lot more players walking in the back play and struggling to get back behind the ball. They've got a longer turnaround this week, and I understand the players have had 3 days off, and I think it's necessary mentally, but physically, I think it's one to get away and just refresh and come back because they are starting to look like it's been a big 2 months. It's been a big 2 months to open the season, and there's a bit of sting in their legs. If they can come back, find some freshness, and carry on from how they're starting games, they're going to be fine and get back into it. But yeah, just alarming losing 3 in a row because I don't think anybody saw that.
Nah, it's been, it's like, again, most of the times I'm watching, I'm feeling confident where they're going and what they're doing. And in the last 2 weeks, it's been, hold on a minute. They haven't adjusted or adapted to what the opposition are bringing now with the way that they play, which is one thing that they need to go away and really look at and see how they can exploit those areas of other teams trying to get in their face or that kind of style. Like you said, with those middle players and the legs and the walking, they've been playing big minutes. Adam Fanua Blake, Mitch Barnett, Tohu Harris, they cannot play 60 or 70 or 80 minutes week in, week out for 27 rounds. It just won't. it won't. They'll just run out of legs and run out of juice in the end. And that's what you said about them walking in the line. They're tired.
Yeah.
They've had a big eight weeks, couple of months where they've just worked really hard. They've been the hunted, not the hunters.
Yeah.
So teams are coming to try and perform and beat them because they know how good they are now. The pressure's on from the outside. The noise is outside there as well from the media about how good the Warriors are going. Hey, we're just being brought down to bloody earth about their performances and how they're going. But the thing for me in that game, Zion Mau, we spoke about the pathways for Fisher Harris coming back and how important that was for guys like him. I thought when he come on, his 7 to 10 minutes that he played changed the momentum for the team. The first time I've seen Adam Fanua-Blake run off the back fence that hard because he saw a kid just get on the field and just enjoy what he had. Zion changed the game with his run. He also helped Adam score that first try with his decoy and the intent that he ran it in. So I think for someone that's been toiling away down below in the pathways, been on a bit of a journey, a guy that wants to be there alongside Jacob Laban, I thought his debut was pretty incredible I felt like he fitted in there really well. They've been looking for some impact off the bench. I thought he brought it in there and tried to change the game. And obviously, you got Chance on his 100 games, scored a nice try. I like that. He's really important to the club. But I definitely think there's going to be some changes. Maybe in the backs, we've got some backs. But again, a lot of injuries going through their club at the minute, all through the grades.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Be interesting to see what changes there are if they do decide to. I think there's a few people out of form. I think both wingers have struggled the last couple of weeks to find some form whilst Dallin is still scoring. There's a few errors in them, in both wingers. So, wait and see what Andrew Webster comes up with this week.
I'll chuck this one at you. Do we move Roger to the wing? I know that there's a lot of conversation, and we just spoke about the two wingers most probably not being in their best form, but still managing Dallin scoring tries.
And bring Pompey back.
Bring Pompey back in. Ali Lautoa in there. A centre for a centre to go into a centre position. Roger around the ball more, fullback.
It could be a shake-up that's needed.
Yeah.
Those two young fellas have been playing really well in the reserve grade.
Yep.
And they deserve their chance. He's got a couple of runs this year out in Pompey. And he's not let the side down when he's been thrown, and he was really reliable last year as well. Ali Lautoa's had one go. There's a time to give him another one. Who knows? But if you put Roger at wing, he'll be more than capable of covering that spot and being safe under the high ball, going back to his fullback days. But Roger could play prop and still play well.
Do you think that they've found a structure and a system that fits Roger in yet? Or they're still trying to search for that?
I think they're persevering and they're trying to make the centre position work.
Yeah, me too, yep.
I think there's a bit of pride in there too,
Most probably, not letting the outside noise,
we did it all pre-season. We've brought him in here, and our intention was always to play him at centre, so we're going to stick to it.
Yep.
And sometimes that can bite you on the bum if you're stubborn that way. And, he was great at fullback, but are you going to move Chance? Unlikely. No. And with the wingers not playing as well as they would have liked, then it might be time for him to jump back on the wing. There you can try and get you 200 or 300 metres.
Yeah, well, I watched most of the games over the weekend, and if I look at, for instance, the Roosters and Dragons game, and the speed at the game was played out with the little guys using their feet to get around the ruck. They put 60 on the Dragons, and the Dragons beat the Warriors. But I think that's where Roger can come in off the wing and beat people. Because what we're trying to create in the game is momentum and people getting one-on-one tackles or loose around the ruck. And I think Roger, if he's playing wing, he's more involved in the game. You've got Chance taking carries. You can always use Dallin runs off the back fence. But having those guys with fast feet, getting mismatches around the middle of the park, poking their nose through, and then it allows Wade Egan to come off the back of that, and then your Adam Fanua-Blakes and your Toy Harris. Maybe that's something that they need to look at as well. As we watch these smaller guys, man, like they were outstanding, the Roosters, and the Warriors play them in a couple of weeks. It could be a tough one.
We go back to the Newcastle game for the Warriors when Rogers brings the ball back and he goes left foot step,
That's right.
Bumps Adam Elliott off, and the crowd's up. I'm standing up. Wow, what's just happened here? People want more of that. So how do you get more of that without him playing fullback? Get him to the wing. He may swap over at times with Chance. Last tackle, you catch the ball, bring it back. But somehow it gets him the early ball. You got to get him into the game and get him more touches.
David Fafita and AJ Brimson, I was speaking on Sky and spoke about how important those guys are, but I also, AJ Brimson playing at fullback, I think that's his position. Again, you got Jaden Campbell, but I think Jaden Campbell, you can move him into the sixth position, and he's a tough defender, can ball play, he's quick as well. But he was, I think he carved up. Again, we're talking about people with quick feet and speed. He come on there and he was just elusive around the middle of the park. Everything he did, he was quick, he was fast, he was beating guys, creating momentum. And then Fafita comes on the back of some of that stuff, and he's hard to handle. Again, the second week in a row, they've played Fafita off the bench. They give the first couple of guys 15 minutes max. He comes on when the game's a little bit softer and starts playing his stuff. And again, the Warriors drag out those middle guys a little bit longer, maybe 25 minutes max before they make an interchange. He comes on and just changes the momentum. I thought he was outstanding. Both players, mate, he was a wrecking ball.
He deceived me, Fafita, when he came on. Because I was waiting for him to have that instant impact, but he was catching the ball flat and wasn't really making meters, and he was falling down. I'm thinking, come on, man. Come off the back fence, as you're saying. Just try and bump some people off. Get an impact in the game. You're a superstar. And then out of nowhere, he scores that try, throws a couple of people, gets the ball over the line. Said, you're a freak, man. Just out of nothing.
Yeah, and that line that he can run outside the half where the centre has to come in and jam on him, and then that ball around the corner to AJ Brimson. Like, that's what he does at his best. So I thought between those two and then Brian Kelly, man, that kid can play some footy. Their outside backs, they got some quality outside backs. Most probably the most underrated, but when you see them, when you look at their team, they play football, those guys. So going down the short side, Brian Kelly loves going down the short side. He's got a flick pass, he's tough, he's hard to handle. And then even giving the ball to him one off the scrum, does up Rocco Berry and then flicks balls to Pereira, and he scores a try. Like, mate, they were on. But they needed a big game. You can see the intent in what they were doing.
What you were saying at the start, it was coming. It's been coming for a little while. It'll be interesting to see if they can kick on.
Yeah. Hopefully so, because like I said, I felt bad for them, and now I feel good for them that they, even though I was against the Warriors, I said I'm not a Warriors fan. Feel good for them. Moving on.
Get off the show. I know this is not a Warriors show, but get off anyway.
Moving on to the second game of Anzac Day. The Dragons versus the Roosters at Allianz.
Yeah.
As you said, 60 points put up by the Roosters to 18 by the Dragons. Dragons started off with that beautiful try to kick off the game, and it was like looking like how they beat the Warriors. Like, man, these guys are really rocking. But then the Roosters took over. Sam Walker.
Yeah.
Holy, that guy.
Well, he's been on the sidelines for a little bit, and they needed someone to come on and bring some impact and bring back into the team. But I guess it all started with the intent of Jared Waerea-Hargreaves off the kickoff.
Is that the quickest KO ever? Sure.
Nah, there's been a few off kickoffs and stuff like that. Like that's like I've heard the Aussies talk about taking that kickoff away and then like shortening it up and stuff like that. And then they're trying to say, well, instead of hitting high, you got to change your tackle technique. It doesn't matter where you hit. No. You go low, you're going to most probably get a knee in the head. You go anywhere else, you're going to get bumpers in your face, or you're going to get knocked out like that did. But I guess for me, that told the story of the night, or the afternoon, that the intent that Jared ran with said that the Roosters are here to play. And it's an Anzac game, which is a tradition that they've done for so long now. So then he runs like that, he knocks someone and everyone's pumped and they're like, this is why we play this game. It's Anzac Day, this is what it means to us. We're going after it. But, you know, Sam Walker, with the way he plays, his kicking game, outstanding. And I spoke about those small guys in the way that they played. Sharp feet, right around the ruck, building momentum and taking the game away from the Dragons. They just couldn't keep up. Obviously, Joseph Manu out there doing his thing. They've got a grand final, I reckon on paper, one of the strongest team that can win a grand final. They've got Australians represented players, Kiwi represented players, Origin players, all through there. So they're a top side. When they get their game on, that's what it looks like. It's crazy what they can do.
And they've had that roster for a long time. It's the challenge for them now is to be able to do that consistently. From round one, when they won in Vegas, everyone thought, the Roosters are back. Yep. The Roosters are back now. They're going to be the contenders. The Roosters of old are back. But again, they're up and down. And it's going to be important for them that Sam Walker can maintain this form and keep being the threat that he is, because he toyed with Sloan. He toyed with the fullback from the Dragons, just putting short kicks where he couldn't get to. And if he can kick that along with Cleary, they're going to be dangerous because they've got the threats across the park. But yeah, going back to the kickoff thing, I've seen blokes carrying the ball get knocked out too. So it goes both ways. And trying to say take some disadvantage away from the ball carrier, but there's been some big blokes defending that have knocked some blokes out. I don't know what they do. That's just part and parcel of the game. That's what people love. We've taken away the biff. Can't take too much of the physicality away. We start messing with the game too much. I'm not trying to say that I'm not about player welfare and player safety. I am. But some things are just part of our game.
For me, I just like Sam Walker, how he plays the game. He just plays what he feels and sees. Again, there's instruction things that he does at times, but at the same time, he can play ad-lib. Every time a fullback's in the line, he's chipping the ball over the top and backing his ability to try and either compete for that ball. Because yes, it's a 50-50. You don't want it to go too long and get 7, but but at the same time, you can get this ball back and score tries. So that's what he did consistently. Like you said, he toyed with the fullback Sloan. But man, he's an important part to the energy, I think, of the team. But then also his kicking, 10 from 10, it's a lottery in the game. Like, they are important 2 points. Every time you get a try, it's important that you get those points, and they add up to your points in the end of the season, but also in those big games as well. Like, man, he's a big part of that team. I like what he brings. He's exciting.
Just last week, there was that ankle tap by Brad Schneider. Dylan.
Sorry, I just got chip in here. Just going back to Jared, you guys, obviously, Adam, you played in the middle. Going off the back fence, there are some guys that really embrace that role. How hard is it being that type of player where you're constantly taking that first charge? He takes pride in it.
Yeah, as I got older, I got scared. I just didn't want to get smashed. But then I thought, hold on a minute. I had long hair. I wet it all up. And I thought, okay, if I get smashed, then you got the mean-ass whiplash, and it's mean for the camera. So I started thinking a little bit like that. But as I got older, I was like, nah, no way, bro. You young fellas, go take that kick off, bro. I'll come on the back of you guys because, man, you have to be keen to get whacked because you're pretty much running into a brick wall. And Jared embraces that competitiveness of it's you versus me, and it doesn't matter how many boys are in front of me, I'm going to try and run over the top of you. And you see in the instance, I think they had 4 guys trying to come in there. Most of the time, you literally, if you're tackling him, half the time you're going to hit your own men anyway. You know what I mean? But you have to be committed to taking that kickoff. And guys like him are the guys that want to take those kickoffs. So, man, you got to give that bro ups. He's on the way out of the NRL and he's going to go over to the bloody Super League and do exactly the same. He ain't stopping nowhere. He's going to be a cult hero over there if he does those kickoffs like that. And, man, he's tough. He's a warrior. He's a warhorse. He just goes after it, and he's a big part of that Roosters club and will forever be.
Cool.
Sweet. So moving on to the last game of Anzac Day. Storm versus Rabbitohs, another whooping at Amy Park. 54-20 to the Storm. Jerome Hughes has been probably the standout player for the Storm this season, but on that night it was Cam Munster who he had 4 try assists, a try, 9 tackle busts. It was his big game for the season so far, and they made light work of the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, I just like what they do on Anzac Day down at the Storm. They're very lucky they get to do it at night, so it can be different to what we always see during the day. But they do a really good job, lights up the stadium. They're committed to doing what they can do for Anzac Day and what that represents. But before, I don't know, they're playing the Rabbitohs, so I don't know if that's a reflection of where the Storm are at. But individually, and we spoke about Origins coming up, and these guys start coming into form. Munster had an outstanding game and he was quite dominant through it. Jerome Hughes has been nice and strong for the club, but it was a big game for the Storm, and also just as big for the Rabbitohs. Still under a lot of pressure now because they're making a lot of changes and trying to find what wins and what works and what doesn't. And Dimitro's most probably going to lose a job out of if he can't win the next couple of games, he's going to be in trouble. But the Storm are still trying to find what works for them and how that looks. I don't think, the reflection of playing against the Rabbitohs is really a good reflection on where they're at. But they just get it. They know how to win. Big moments, big players. Those guys throughout their team were strong.
Yeah, Munster was out for a fair chunk at the start of the season. It was always going to take him a little while to get into his rhythm, but also spoke about that stat. That spine hadn't played together for something like a year and a half. So it was always going to take them a little while to gel and get in sync with each other. So Jerome Hughes, whilst he's been good, he's got a support partner now. But that game where he catches the ball and just drops it on his foot, sees the space for one, gets the kick and puts the strength on the kick for it to bounce and Xavier Coates to pick it up and score.
And it was a left foot kick too.
Left foot.
He just, mate, when things are going well for the Storm, those guys can do whatever they want and it normally comes off. And that was a prime example of it. They were having a field day. And I've played in a game where we've played them in an ANZAC game with the Warriors, and I think they put 60 on us one game, but everything they touched was just outstanding. Like, those are the things that they can do when they're on, when they're just having a bit of fun and they're playing footy. Munster just does what Munster does. Left foot kick over the coast and it bounces straight into his hands. Like, come on, really?
Exactly. And the kick, normally if you just drop the kick on your foot, it goes everywhere. That kick, it was floppy, it was sideways, but it went straight to him. I was like, how the hell did that happen? But he's another one who's been good for them, Xavier Coates.
Yeah.
And very, very good from the start of the season till now. And again, he's got to be a sure pick for Queensland and Origin.
You reckon he will be?
He's got to be. He's got to be there or there. I know they've got some wingers.
Yeah.
You know, Taulungi's out.
Yeah. Is he out?
He's injured at the moment.
Injured, yes, got
He's
injured.
injured at the moment, so I don't know what they do. And put him on the wing.
Man, they've got some really quality outside backs. Actually, all the Queensland players are quality that they can either lose some and then guys come in and play. And as always, and I'm sick of repeating it, come Origin time, like the last 2 weeks, everyone starts stepping up a gear and they go after it. And mate, quality side, the Melbourne Storm, and going to be tough. Consistently, you know what you're going to get from them, whether they look ugly when they win or they beat them by, 54 points. It's like crazy what they can do as a team. A solid game.
Adam, you're a bit of a fan of grub behaviour, I know.
Oh, who said this, bro? What are you on about?
You were
don't
a bit
even
of a
watch
grub in
rugby
your
league.
own time.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, we'll roll with
So
it.
you can relate to some grub behaviour. You saw that Tane Milne
Yeah, I saw that.
last minute tackle on Munster. What was going through that guy's head when he did that?
I would most probably say more Micah Sivo grub, elbow to the face. But yeah, I think last play of the game, most probably the silliest thing you can do. What was he trying to achieve out of that? Come flying in, and especially coming from the front, like it's not the direction of. Your knees aren't going to go backwards. The only thing that's going to cause from that is an injury to a player. So it looked ugly. It was dangerous. So he deserves what he's going to get. What is it, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks for doing that. It doesn't look good in the context of the game. You're getting a hiding anyway, and then you come in for no reason but just stupidity to come in and try and, I don't know if he's thinking about hurting someone, but that's mostly what can happen from those kind of tackles is that if you just being silly and you're coming in just to try and hurt someone, then that's must be not a good look. So deserves his 2 weeks. We don't want that in the game. I think that's dangerous. And you said about grubs, they're like, that's not what I do, bro. It's not nice.
There's grubbery and there's thuggery and there's stupidity. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That was just plain dumb. For so many reasons. Dumb, the time of the game, it was nearly done. They're way behind on the scoreboard. And their team and where they are at the moment, they can ill afford to lose any player. They need all their big line hitters to be out there lining up every single week. So for him to be out for another 2 weeks, that's painful to their team. Jason Demetrio is under the pump. He's under so much pressure, but the team is that far down on confidence. They can't have any more players missing out. They've already lost Latrell. That was just stupidity on all fronts.
On Latrell, he has one more game of his suspension. There's a report that's just come out that he is considering sitting out of Origin so that he can focus on their season. So there's possibly a spot open in the centres for the Blues. Do you think that's a good idea from him, or?
I like the decision because he understands that he's not where he needs to be as a football player, and like just to cover it over and jump into Origin, most probably not a good look for himself. But for him, he understands where he needs to get to, and he's not at his best. But he understands that the club need him firing. So I think it's, again, if that's the decision that he's going to make, I think it's a great one for himself and also the club. But I guess you make those decisions around where you sit as a player, because you know when you're not playing well, you know that you've missed all this time on the sideline, you know what you need to get right. But by going into an origin camp, you kind of sweep that stuff underneath the rug, and then you come back to it later. Let's address it right now. Have that week off. I'm sure he's had some time on the side to reflect about his performances and where he's at as a player and as a person, and then wants to go out there and get a job done for the Rabbitohs, because like we've both said, they are under so much pressure at the moment. Can't win games, losing players, and he comes back in, and there's only going to be more pressure when he turns up. So getting your game right first is most probably the more important part, and then once everything's in order and you've got yourself right, then Origin 2, maybe Origin 3 is there for him.
Yeah, I think it's a good decision from him by the fact that when he did that hit on Sean Johnson in that game, and then he does the lift tackle, the ones that have got him suspended, a lot of fronts in the media were saying it was a really selfish act, and there was an element of that to it. You know, he was frustrated, he was taking his feelings out on the opposition rather than thinking about the team first. I think this is a selfless decision to make from him. Yeah. He's putting the team first right now. He wants the team to turn their fortunes around. It's going to be very, very hard for them to make the semis now, but he can have an impact on trying to create a run. And I think foregoing Origin to put the South Sydney Rabbitohs first, I think is a great decision by him.
Yeah.
Because to put some of that faith back in the club, he owes it to them.
Yeah, for sure, especially with these 3 weeks that he's going to have missed by the time he's back. Moving on to Friday's game, Sea Eagles versus the Eels at Four Pines. 32-18, the final score to the Sea Eagles. It was actually a pretty, level game at the start. The Eels looked again like they have in games like, oh, they're in this, like they could win this.
Yeah.
And then it sort of fell off the rails for the Eels at the end.
Well, they lost. They had 20 minutes with 12 players on the field. So that's always hard when you come up against a quality side like the Sea Eagles, and to be able to perform when they've already been under a lot of pressure anyway. You're seeing the teams that are at that top of their game sitting at the top of the ladder, and the teams that are struggling a little bit to find some consistency and build some momentum are, sitting down the bottom half of the eight. And the Eels are trying to find what works for them. They've debuted a couple of guys as well, and I thought they played okay, but not near good enough to be competing with the best teams. Brad Arthur, again, another club under a bit of pressure. He's been there a long time now. Are they getting bored of his style of football? Clint Guffson's sitting at the back there. Things that, is he getting older? We need to find someone younger. I think there's a lot of questions need to be asked around there. They're still trying to find what works for them. But again, Mitch Moses not being there, you can't see them pushing forward without him, and it's hard to watch. At times they score some good tries, but then they got some stupidity stuff inside, some individual players doing silly things that they shouldn't. I guess Marcus Servo, for example, 3 tries and then 10 minutes in the bin when the game was in the balance. I think there was 14-18 at one stage there.
There was 2018 when he got sent.
2018 and there was still time in the game, and that was the big momentum change. Our game is made up of moments and momentum, and that was the momentum change for the Eels. And off the back of that, they just went bang, 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 see you later, shut the gill.
Yeah, Manly are a real threat. They're a danger. For
sure.
They're starting to find some form, and Daly Cherry Evans is one of the form players of the competition. Trebojevic is Trebojevic out the back. He scored a great try off Saab down the sideline, comes back in typical fashion for Trebojevic. He'll do that almost every single week. So they'll punish teams with 13. So when the team's got 12, they're just going to put you to the sword, and that's what happened. And that was a poor decision by Micah Servo to attack Garrick with his elbow on the ground. The tackle was done. There was nothing else to be gained. He wasn't trying to slow it down anymore, and that was a bit of thuggery. And just a poor decision again. It's cost his team, and he's got to be on the field for Parramatta to have any chances this year. But through form, he's been in reserve grade. He gets his chance to come back. Then he makes a poor decision like that. He's got people like Morgan Harper waiting in the wings for their opportunity. You can't open the door to someone like that. Parramatta, they can be great. They can be another team that's threatening, but confidence, when it goes, losing a player like Moses is so hurtful to them right now.
I saw the disappointment in Clint Gutherson and Coach Brad Arthur after in the press conference, and I was thinking, man, they're in a lot of trouble. They were disappointed in Mike Acevo and his actions because they said it was dumb, which we both said, yep, just silly, you don't need to do that. But they're trying to find answers within their team of how they can get out of it. Where their pairing in the halves have been all over the shop. They're trying to find what works since Moses has been out. Is their depth good enough? Most probably not at the minute because we haven't seen any changes in their performances. So, a disappointed team at the minute need to really try and move on real quickly because before we know it, the competition hits halfway and we start seeing the better teams sitting at the top 8.
So the Seagulls are a really good team, but they may have an issue because of that tackle on Sean Lane. So in the game, Haumole copped the blame. He got the sin bin and he was off for 10. When they're both in that tackle for sure, him and Cherry Evans. Right now, the two of them are facing 2 weeks ban, up to 3 weeks if they contest. What is going to happen with that? Are they both going to get the 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, Haumole gets the ban because he was the one that had his arm between the legs. I think we all know the rules around not lifting and putting the arms between the legs. That's where it kind of looks bad. But then I guess Cherry Evans did help the cause by putting force in there as well and flipping over. At no stage that they had control of the tackle and sometimes you can get some leniency when you go to judiciary around the control and the intent. The intent was there to flip him over and he didn't look good in the contents of the game. I guess when you go to judiciary, and I'm thinking I don't think they're going to fight this because they can't afford to lose either one of them for 3 weeks. The only thing I can see is that they put the blame on Haumole, as in when the game, the 10 minutes went to because he had his hands between the legs, and they try and fight that all the damage was done from Haumole because his hands was between the legs, and they get Daly Cherry Evans off, and that's the only way I can see getting at it. But again, you run a risk if you get it wrong at judiciary, you lose Daly Cherry Evans for 3 weeks. He is most probably the informed 7 of the competition, the way that he plays and what he can do, and he's most probably a big loss if they contest and they don't get off there.
That's the risk, and too big a risk for them to try and argue it. Just take the hit. Haumole Olokoatu's hands were found in the cookie jar. He's the one that got done. Just cop the hit for him, or keep Cherry Evans on the field rather than lose both of you, or lose you for an extended time. We'll just take the punishment because it was done. The crime was committed. We'll just move on. We'll just do without Olokoatu for a couple of weeks, which will hurt him because he's such a great player. But the crime's been done. As I said, they did lift. They can't argue that. Very little.
There's nothing they can't argue too much when you go to the judiciary because everyone knows the rules.
Yeah.
And it's a 50-50 anyway, at least, or even less than that, likely that you're going to get off it. And like we said, you can't afford to lose Cherry Evans, but at the same time, you run a risk on trying to argue the incident as well. So unless you've got a clear evidence that Cherry Evans wasn't any part of causing the danger that the player went into, then you shouldn't fight it. But at the end of the day, mate, he's important to their team, and if the club finds someone that can fight that, then good on them, go after. But you don't want to lose him.
No, yeah.
I'm sure the judiciary are just going to show a photo of Cherry Evans when he has his arms like
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, and again, that's it.
If the evidence is there, then you've got to have a really strong argument. Probably don't have one strong enough.
Yeah. Well, again, that's like I said, they'll just blame the other player that was in the tackle, and that's how they kind of got to go. But again, I've only been there a few times, so I've had some experience in my times through the judiciary. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. How many did you get off?
I've downgraded most of my things, so I didn't get off anything because I didn't actually try and fight getting off. I was fighting more downgrades than anything. So you go from, say, 2 weeks to 1 week. So, total of 19 games missed in my career, guys, so it's not too bad. And when you think of my highlighted career, there's been some, some incidents out there, So 19 games isn't too bad from, out of 330.
So not your finest, but not as bad as people said.
Yeah, not as bad as people think and have said and seen. Yes, I played on the borderline of over the top. But that's, only Jared does that now, so I'll leave it up to him and everyone chases him. So, we're good, guys. We're good. Judiciary. Get to play, buddies.
Moving over to the first Saturday game, Broncos versus Tigers at Campbelltown Sports Centre. Broncos got it done pretty easily, 34-10. They got back Haas, Reynolds, Piakura and Mariner in this game, so... The Tigers have been good, but they just played the Panthers last week, and now the Broncos, 2 grand finalist teams back-to-back is pretty tough. Was there much to this game?
And that's what Benji pretty much alluded to. Although they're still trying to find some consistency in their team, they come up against 2 quality sides the last 2 weeks, and most probably got a football lesson. Again, I think out of the Broncos and the Roosters, and you see him talk about, and I spoke about how fast teams are playing, those are most probably the 2 teams that I saw over the weekend that played at that intensity and that level that is needed in the game of rugby league. And the Broncos have just speed all over their field, and they play to their speed. Obviously, Reece Walsh is damaging when he's got the ball, but then you got Mariner on the wing, where if you put a kick over, he's chasing it. I think Jesse Arthurs is doing a good job out there as well. But all through their team, Paddy Carrigan has been enormous for the Broncos since Payne Haas has been out. But then you've got to give some credit to the other front rowers that have come in and taken place, because I think
Corey Jensen's been good.
Yeah, Corey Jensen, Hetherington being really good. So I think, they've got a quality side all over. But for me, the highlight is just how fast they played. The Tigers were just... Most were never going to be in their game just because of the speed at what they play. Everyone knows when you play the Broncos, that's what they're coming to. That's what they bring. It's the fastness. So you've got to be able to move quick and move fast. So I thought the Broncos were good. Reynolds kicked them out of the game, and then Reece Walsh with the speed and the boys on the wing. Just crazy how good they are, actually.
The highlight for me was what Blair is talking about exactly. Was Reece Walsh when he gets the ball up the middle and he's got the fullback to beat and go round him. It just looks like he dropped the gears straight down. It was ridiculous how quick he got and found himself. Yeah. The fullback got nowhere near him, and it looked like he had a clear run to the post, but it was nothing of the sort. He had some work to do to get around him, and his pace and his balance is unbelievable. And he's just one of a few in their side that have got that pace to burn. Dean Mariner on the wing. He's coming along, I think, as they expected. I remember going to the Broncos last year, seeing one of their English coaches, Lee Breers, and having a chat to Breersy, and said, "Oh, who's that young fella?" He said, "Oh, it's Dean Mariner. He's probably the fastest in our club." So that's saying a bit when you've got the likes of Reece Walsh and people like that, and, Sal and Cobbo. Yeah. To be the fastest in that group says a bit.
Yeah,
So.
I think Reece Walsh, like that, it's that explosiveness over like the first 10, 20, 30, 40 metres. Mate, he's quick around there. I guess those other guys, they build up into their speed and they just fly. They're hard to catch. I've seen Reece Walsh get caught and mowed down, but over that short distance, man, like you said, his balance, he's got half touched from like the back row, I think, and then he's off balance and gone around. He hasn't stepped the fullback, he's just gone around him, and I'm just like, wow, man. But he can play. We've seen some glimpses of him when he was at the Warriors and the things that he could do. But he's just added to that as with his age and his experience. Obviously playing for Queensland and then going up to the Broncos. Adam Reynolds allowing him or unlocking his ability more and more so. But also the way that they play suits the style of player that Reece is. And mate, they're going to be, they're definitely going to be in the back end of the competition, challenging for that title again, because they'll be disappointed where they ended up last year in the grand final, losing it. But you can see the burn. You can see how hungry they are. And if they've got all their players on the field and they're a force...
They were 10th, weren't they, going into last week? I think they were 10th in the ladder. And that's a very, very deceiving position.
They're boosted up to their 5th now.
Yeah. Well, the competition's so close, especially, from that 12th position forward. You know, if you can consistently just keep winning, and you see a couple of teams down there outside the 8, and like they're good quality teams, but a couple of wins shoot them straight up into the top 4, and then mate, everyone's starting to talk about you. But we all know what the Broncos can bring. It's just, you know, the teams that they play against, like the Tigers, they just gave them a football lesson of how to play fast.
Talking about their speed, man, I just had a thought. Imagine what the Broncos are like at the Broncos when you run the Broncos with
Yeah,
those
but do you reckon just because they're fast, they're getting good times? Because it is up back.
Surely, when Mariner scored his try.
It's not straight running.
Yeah, but
20, 40, 60,
bro,
you know what I
when
mean?
Mariner scored his try, he's probably doing the 2 laps by the time I could do 1. Like,
Yeah, well, if we're doing hundies, like if you're just doing hundy straight lines, straight lines, those guys are smoking it. I think when you start breaking it up and it's stop, start, turn around, off the ground, those kind of things, well, not off the ground for a Bronco, but that's when the old lactic acid builds up.
Reece Walsh got to be the best at that.
Some players are better at the short stuff. Some players are better at the up and down, come back.
That was us, Willie. Short stuff.
That was me. That long stuff.
Yeah, no thanks. We're not doing it. You fellas go, you backs. I'm never going to run 100 metres in a game.
I'll go up and back all day, 5, 10 metres.
Yeah, that's us.
The second game on Saturday. Second game on Saturday was Cowboys versus Panthers at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It was close in the end, 26-20 to the Panthers. It was the top defense, the Panthers, versus the top offense coming into the game, and it was the defense that won out. But special shout out to Bizza, Brian To'o.
Oh.
Tell us about the man.
What about his break? How many tackle breaks?
21.
21.
What a beast.
Mate, he's what was his 100th NRL game? You know, and he has so much respect in that place. Obviously coming through all those pathways and building really good connections, not only with the players that he's played with, but also the coaching staff and how much they appreciate what he does for the team. He's been a big difference for that team over the last 4 years, especially coming into grand finals and what he can do at the back of the field. Smallest bloke on the field, but when he goes up for balls, he's always been a target. You know, but he makes it a contest every time he does it, and every time he runs, he makes that a contest as well. And like, you know, that many tackle breaks, like it's unheard of. But he's a ball of muscle. He's low to the ground. So tackle selection, and when you're picking teams, if you've got tall guys, you've got small guys, you actually have to change your tackle tech on all these guys. You can't tackle him. He's not getting tackled. He's an outstanding player. Has done so much good stuff for that club, and I know how much he means to all those boys around there and what he can bring from the back of the field. A lot of their stuff has started from him, and they build momentum off the back of their back five. But he is enormous for that team and played a massive game. I guess coming up against, you know, defence always wins competitions. We all know that as footy players. So, you know, you can have the best attack, but if you can't defend, then there's no point in attacking it. So they come up. I thought the Queensland Cowboys, North Queensland Cowboys come back in the end, but it was too late. I thought the Panthers done a really good job, just grinded away, and then they were just hanging on in the end because that's when the Cowboys started attacking and playing a bit of football. I think that short kick, the short drop out most probably was a bit of a turning point for them. Got it back, boom, boom, and a bit of energy, bit of excitement from the Cowboys, and they tried to go after the Panthers, and they were just hanging on.
Yeah, people probably know Brian To'o for his big runs and, as we said, all the tackle busts, but his workload and his willingness to keep putting his hand up and carry the ball. But he's a real craftsman as a winger. He knows where to position himself, and fortunately getting to work with him at the back end of last year, watching him work and how he knew how to play wing, what tackle count, where to be, coaching his centres up as he's going, his talk and his knowledge, but defensively, really, really smart winger. So defensively, they're the best team in the comp for how they work with Fish in the middle and Moses with their back rowers. I think Liam Martin defensively is a crazy defensive winger, back rower. Works hard on his kick chases. I think he forced an error on the weekend from his kick chase.
Got to try off.
Got to try. But all the way out to the wingers. And Brian To'o's just another piece of their puzzle that's really, really smart defensively. Plays patient, knows when to read and come in, when to hold out. It's so difficult to play. He's a very, very smart winger on top of all the fantastic numbers he comes up with.
I just heard, I watched a lot of their social media over the weekend, obviously pumping up how important he was.
Yeah.
They spoke about his diet. They reckon it's just eat anything. and he's all good. He just eats whatever he wants. Like I saw.
I hate those people.
I saw Crichton talk about it on the Matty Johns late night stuff, and he said how he has a really good strict diet, but the strict diet is like eat whatever he wants and can still turn up and play the way he is. We've always been, we always hate those people that can just eat anything and play the way that he does because, man, you and I had to be on real strict diets and have to look after ourselves and watching our weight and skin folds and everything, and there's guys like him that can still do what he does and eat what he wants. But I guess for me, it's much really the mental part of rugby league is we can physically be prepared, we can eat all those things or be on a diet or not be on a diet, but it's that little bit of mentality, the mentality of preparing yourself so that you're ready to play and turn up week in, week out.
Yeah, there must be even more reason that he must work hard every single day. And to be able to flush out whatever he's eating, that's not good for him. But to keep the rig that he has and keeping the high level athleticism that he is, he must work really hard, and he does every single day. So, yeah, I hate those blokes. They can make me sick.
What a freak. Anyway, what a freak.
Just before we talked about Latrell is pulling out of Origin, possibly. A candidate to replace him, possibly, Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
At somewhere in the Blues side, maybe he could fit in because he has for sure been one of the Panthers' most consistent to start the season, along with like Isaiah Yeo. How good has he been?
Oh, it's funny, rugby league. Sometimes it's just timing around positions and selections, and he's just been unlucky that there's been people in front of him through his whole career of playing. And like you said, he is a fantastic fullback and done so much good things for that club. Obviously played grand finals, won grand finals, consistently hits the 250 with meters carried every weekend. They would never leave him out of the side in the Penrith team because they know how important it is. He gets the work done. I think he's Origin made. The things he's tough, he carries the ball well. He's got a passing game. So, big decision for New South Wales. I think they should just leave Tedesco out and play him at the back. I think give him a little bit of a reward up the Queenslanders. But I think he deserves to be even mentioned and spoken about. But I also think he deserves to get a shot and get an opportunity at fullback to show everyone what he's got. He wouldn't let anyone down, that's for sure.
Difficult to come and play in a time when you've got the likes of Tedesco, Trbojevic, Kalen Ponga.
Yeah.
All superstars and legends in their own rights. To be in that position at the same time and come through, you most probably want to come a little bit before or a little bit after. But does he deserve to be there? Yeah, and I think one thing I'm looking forward to with Origin is what Madge does with his selections. He's going to be totally different to how Freddie was, and I think we're going to have a different look at a New South Wales team. So whether he goes for form, whether he goes with form players out of position, or whether he just goes with the best players in their position currently, will be really, really interesting to see. Does he deserve to be there? 100%. But there's others around as well.
I've had some dealings with Madge, and he's definitely will be going for people in form and people in their positions because that's just the type of coach he is. He wants tough players as well, and if you look through the Kiwi selections that he has, that's what he kind of goes for. He doesn't try and find people out of position. The only person he's played out of position is Joey Manu because Joey Manu can do whatever he wants. But typically with Michael Maguire's side, it's people in form, people in position, tough players. Origin players. I'm thinking he may leave Tedesco out.
Cool.
Massive call. It is
a huge call.
It's a massive call.
He's playing better than he has for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
Tedesco. So it is a big call.
Yeah, and I mean, he looked pretty good in that 60 piece that the Roosters just put on.
I'm just putting it out there. I think he deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, he's worked his butt off for years. And he is definitely an Origin player. We've seen him play for Australia on the wing, so he can cover that. But I think, man, there's an opportunity for the kid to get in there.
I thought the hardest call for him was when he got man of the match in the grand final and missed the Aussie World Cup squad.
Yeah.
I thought that was a big, big call to make.
Yeah.
Usually if you get man of the match in the grand final, you're an automatic selection.
And I think Tedesco at the time wasn't in form too at that time.
No.
So, like, there's conversation that, you know, he wasn't playing his best footy and still managed to get in the team. Again, you put players around the high caliber players, people go to another level and people go to another level and express themselves even more. So sometimes it doesn't matter if you're not in form, but if you put them around good players and you're in a different environment, the best of the best, your standard goes right up anyway. So, it would be a big call if they leave Tedesco out, but I think, man, the bro he needs a chance. Give him a crack.
Whatever the case, up the Blues, am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On to Sunday's games, the Dolphins against the Knights at Suncorp. 18-14 to the Knights. Ooh. The Dolphins actually could have done it if Jermaine had hit those 2 kicks on their last 2 tries. But I think the main story of the game was the backup fullbacks, man. Those 2 dudes were just both so good.
Oh, between the both of them, obviously, you know, got a nice try on debut, the Knights. What is it, Trey Fuller? Sorry.
David Armstrong got the try on debut.
Oh, yes. So, you know what I mean? Like, him getting a try on debut is awesome. I think he's a great... He moves well, he's quick, he looks athletic, he's lean, he's fast. So I think, you know, he looked really good, David, when he scored. And I think the Dolphins guy, man, far out. The last couple of weeks, he definitely belongs in NRL. Whether you keep them in there, it's up to them. But everything that they're doing, you know, I thought, like you said, that's your favourite team, mate. Where's your not wearing your Dolphins?
Didn't wear it today.
Not wearing it today. I had to wash it. So I thought they had opportunities, like you said, Jermaine, to kick those goals. But it doesn't come back to the goal kicking. It's, you know, what you do during the game. They lost a couple of big boys in there. Jesse, the 2 Bromwich brothers. And then they're just scrapping to find people. They're definitely a side that works really hard. They've tried to, I guess Wayne's got a Wayne Bennett style of team, is where you've got all these old guys and experience and you're working and you're just blooding in these new guys. And hopefully when the old guys have gone on, these guys have learned something from those guys and they just carry on what they do. They build a culture, they build a team of resilience, but then also a team that can play football. So, you know, the Knights, we spoke set back here last week and we're talking about, you know, what are they going to do without Kalen Ponga and how does their attack end up going? Well, they end up winning a game. Takes a little bit of pressure off the Knights, but there's still pressure there in the background. It's rugby league.
And in the absence of Kalen, they really needed Jackson Hastings and Tyson Gamble to step up, and they did. They did big time. But young David Armstrong had a whale of a debut. But we're lucky as a game with him, Trey Fuller, and Jai Gray at South Sydney. There's some exciting young fullbacks, and they're different to the mould of fullback that we do have. They're short in stature, but quick as they're out of the Reece Walsh mould. Exciting to see. Exciting when they get into open play, especially that Trey Fuller, man. When he gets in, he sniffs a little bit of a gap. He's away.
He's a little nugget, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's actually not that young, though, like those others.
Yeah.
He's 27.
Yeah.
So
but again, this is a great example of it's never over till it's over. You know what I mean? So for all those guys that are 27-year-olds, just keep working your butt off because the opportunity will come for them if you want to make your dream. Like I don't know if he ever thought he was going to play, but, man, he's making the most of his opportunity and he doesn't look like he's out of place, that's for sure.
And Blair spoke about Wayne Bennett managing players, and he's got a great knack of knowing when to do things with players and groups and teams. And Trey Fuller got a game last year, set the world on fire.
He was good then too,
Go back and play reserve grade, bide your time. Your time will come again. Hammer gets injured, all right, come back in. You deserve it now. You're going to get a run of games. And he's fully backing him as possibly the fullback for the rest of the season.
Do we think the future could hold a move of Hammer to centre or something like that to get Trey Fuller in the team? Or
yeah, well, I think we've seen Hammer play centre for Queensland, and I think it can be done. You know, you have those guys through there. You get your injuries back, and you have the centres there, you have your fullback, mate. I think it could work. It's fast, you know what I mean? It's explosive, it's tough. He hasn't looked out of place, but move Hammer into the centres, man, he's dangerous with his feet and obviously his speed.
It's a big call, because Avarillo was good on the weekend too. Yeah. He was great, and they've still got Herbie Farnworth to come back. So a couple of centres, one of international calibre, one of who's in form.
Even Tessie Newers also.
Yeah. I just like the competition.
Yeah,
I think this is what rugby league's so good, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter who you are and how far down the pecking order you are. But if you work your butt off and you make the most of your opportunity, it puts pressure not only on the player in front of you, but also puts pressure on the coach to make these decisions because, man, like, they all deserve to be playing first grade, but it just puts the pressure back on the coach because, man, like, that's what makes the better clubs the good clubs because there's people below them nipping at their heels going, hey, if you slip up and you have one bad performance, then I'm going to come and grab him. So important that those guys behind the scenes work their butts off as hard as they can and stay in it and stay focused and be patient because when the opportunity comes, you got to grab with both hands.
And the other side of it is, if Hammer comes back and he plays fullback, Trey Fuller's done no harm to his credentials and his name.
Yeah.
So if he decides he wants to move on and somebody needs a fullback, he's got some credibility to him and people saying, hey, I like that fullback because of what he's doing. When you get in the shop window, you've got to make every post a win, and he's doing that.
Absolutely, and he would deserve it for sure. Last game of the round, the Raiders versus the Sharks.
Oh.
Sticky Ricky's 500th game coaching is one he will want to forget, I'm sure. 40-0 to the Sharks. And holy hell, how good was Nico Hines?
Yeah.
Can I wait before you speak? Can I just?
Are you just excited because he's South Wales? Or are you just excited?
Well, yes, but I also just love Nico, man. I love the whole vibe and all that. Can I just read his stat line before?
Okay, go for it.
All right, so he finished with 1 try, 6 out of 7 conversions, 202 meters run, 2 try assists, 8 tackle breaks, 456 kick meters, a 40-20. And defensive contributions with 25 tackles and 2 intercepts.
Wow, what a game.
So just tell me how mean he is, Adam, please.
Yeah, well, what a game. He was untouchable in that game, and I thought... I haven't watched I normally watch most post-match conferences with the coaches, and normally after big losses, or even a loss, Ricky Stewart only goes for about 2.5 minutes, and then he just walks off before even anyone asks him another question. So I'm really interested in going back and watching that and seeing what it says. Yes, because it was a milestone game for Ricky Stewart, 500, but also I know how important it would have been for the players to try and get up for that game and try and support their coach because he's so passionate about the game of rugby league. He's been around and done so much good things. But the Sharks, man, they are quietly going about their business without getting recognised. But I think after that one, because the Canberra Raiders are a tough team, man, I think everyone's going to be looking out for the Sharks. Nico Hines was playing in a dinner suit. He had spiders on him that no one wanted to tackle him. The Canberra Raiders allowed him just to run at will. 202 metres for a half is huge. So it shows how much involvement he had in the game. But every time he ran the ball, I just thought that they just watched him move and allowed him to run. Like, he wasn't afraid of taking the line to the ball because they weren't tackling him. So he's a key part of that team. And yes, again, you know, the Queensland, the selections for Origin is coming up around. And I think he's in the conversations of being that 6. And I think he deserves to be there after his performances that he's done and where he's taken the Sharks. But again, you got to go back to the coach. I'm guessing they're starting to believe and understand what he brings to the club and what they want as a team. Tough, resilient, but exciting football. Their back five, mostly the best back five in the competition right now, the way they bring the ball back. I think they've been hard to handle. They're always in the game. They've taken kind of the mantra of the Panthers where the middles don't do anything and the back five just carry the ball back until they get past the 50-metre line, and then they may take one hit up and kick to the corner. Or Nico Hines is just having a bit of a field day with those guys. So, man, they're incredible. They're a tough side to beat, and when they're playing at form, Nico Hines is the key indicator of everything that they do.
Yeah, we spoke about it before. When you've got people like Katoa and Mulatalo, those sort of wingers bringing the ball back, they're probably going to make 20 metres. So front rowers and the big forwards, they don't have to get involved. Just let them roll through. And on the back of it, growing week on week, and had a fantastic game this week again, Kale Ira. Kale Little was great for them. He made an awesome break to set up the last try in the game, I think. But he's growing in confidence, and he's rolling off the back of those two big wingers as much as Nico Hines is. And Nico Hines, as you agree, playing in a dinner suit, and really had to step up this week. Had to step up in the absence of Braden Trindle. Could be out for a little while. He's going to have to carry a lot of the responsibility of the team. He looks comfortable with that. Looks really happy to put the team on his back, control them, get him around, set up plays for himself. kick the team. He's going to be dangerous in there. Yeah, I think he'd be great for New South Wales if selected. It's more than his time.
That's an interesting thing about the Sharks. Obviously, they're your favourite to win the premiers or to top the table.
I picked the Broncos early, and I'll stick with them. I just think they're the form team at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, top of the table now, form team of the moment. With Origin looming, the Sharks don't really have any Origin lock players. You know, Nico Hines is in the conversation, maybe Cam McInnes as well.
Yeah.
But not like, you know, the Panthers, who have 6 guys that are just definitely going to play Origin. The Sharks are doing so good right now with maybe they might not have no one that plays Origin, which means they can possibly continue on through the bye period this run of form. Is that...
Now,
do you think they have players that deserve to be locked?
I think Nico Hines will get in there. I think he'll get in there as the 6 with Cleary, and that's a great combination. That's tough, but I think they'll lose him, and we know how important he is to the Sharks. So they've already had one of their buys already, the Sharks. So losing him would be hard to replace. They're already down another half, so. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, Nico Hines, if he does get selected, and then also to see the performance on the back of, him not being available to play. Again, important rounds to get all these games up and sit in that position. So when these moments do come around that we lose players to an Origin period that you've already built up the doing. So yes, it does matter if you win or lose, but it's not much of an effect on where you end up on the ladder in the mid part of the season, if that makes sense. So. I definitely think he'll be selected.
Yeah, I think he's got to be a lock. I think he's got to be a lock in there. Now that Cleary's back, I think they'll be 7 and 6. Especially if going, as Blair is saying, how majors with selection, picking players on form. They're the 2 form New South Wales halves. But it says a lot about Cronulla as a side, how they don't have the superstars or the individuals just as a team across the park. Yeah. They're the unit at the moment. It's clicking.
Sweet. So that was all the games of the week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about that happened in league that I don't have on this amazing?
Local stuff coming up this weekend. All the rugby league starts.
Fox starts. Kids start this week.
Kids start. So Saturday, 4th, everyone's kicking off. So Wednesday, yes. For
Wednesday
Fox.
Kicks off with the Fox on Sky with.
Richmond
and Point Chev kicking off, the 2 grand finalists facing each other. So that gets underway for the season 2024. The Fox gets underway.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then all the local stuff's back on from the 4th this weekend. So good for the kids, good for the parents, good for the refs. But again, like we always say here, make sure that we're respectful on the sidelines. If you're not coaching, don't yell out coaching tips, because that's why you're on the sideline. Respect to the people that are actually coaching. Respect to the refs. If you're not got a whistle in your hand, you're not the ref. So making sure that we're respectful every weekend, not only to our kids on the field, to our referees, to our supporters, and to the opposition. So, hey, whānau, big weekend up ahead. Make sure you stay tuned on all our channels. Run it straight on Instagram, YouTube. We'll see you again next time, right here with the crew.